Hey guys, welcome back to Carson and Me. Today we're going to be going over what's happened in week 15 of the NFL season. So this is going to be what's happening in Saturday and Sunday. If you're looking for, a Thursday night recap or a Monday night recap, those are going to be separate videos posted on Friday and Tuesday respectively. When I'm recording this, the Monday Night Football game hasn't even happened yet. It'll happen probably 30 minutes after this is posted. Who knows? Right now, let's go ahead and get into it. The first game obviously was the Bills' blowout win over the Broncos, 48-19, just completely demolished them. Really, the Broncos just couldn't get anything done while the Bills just kept on at it. Their defense and their offense, really their whole team just had a really good game altogether. The Broncos, they sat their kicker, they saw McManus, and they brought in a new kicker who made one field goal. Wait, no, sorry. He made one extra point, missed two extra points, and missed a field goal. So that also had something to do with their loss. He left 5 points on the board. It could have been a 48-24 game, which really doesn't mean anything, but it would have looked better on the scoreboard, I guess. I don't know. Next game at Panthers, Panthers playing the Packers. It was actually a pretty close game, especially towards the end. It was a 24-16 Packers win. It was 21-3. Panthers battled back. They won the second half 13-3, but it wasn't enough. 16-24 win for the Packers, and yeah, I mean, really, the Panthers, how they played in the second half was really, really good. It kind of shows how they played all season. I mean, all of their games, it seems like, always come down to like one final drive. They're 4-10, but they don't really seem like it. They seem like a team that shouldn't be 4-10. They're playing like 6-8 team, I guess. They're playing really well, and they're staying in a lot of these games. They just can't finish games, or they're not. I mean, like in this game, they didn't play well in the first half, but then they started coming back at the end, but at that point it was too late. Their bad play at the beginning had already kind of screwed them over. But the Panthers definitely better than their record, which at this point I think is pretty good for them. Because if they can finish the season, 4-12, 5-11, something like that, then they can get a really good draft pick. And if they're already a pretty good team and they've got a top 10 draft pick, that can really bump them up. That's how teams get really good. Next up, Buccaneers Falcons. This one, just the classic Falcons choke. They were up 24-7, I think in the third quarter it was, and then they just let Tom Brady for the second time come back and win. The Buccaneers won. I think it was 31-24. Sorry, I completely forgot. The dumbest thing, I completely forgot to write down the score. I think it was 31-27 actually. Both quarterbacks actually played really well. One of Tom Brady's better games this season, kind of showing some of his old self, I guess. We've been seeing his age a lot more recently. We've been seeing him kind of, be a lot more inaccurate. That wasn't really the case, especially later in this game. Played really well. And yeah, the Falcons choked a 17-point lead. Next game, 49ers against the Cowboys. It was a pretty good game, but the Cowboys managed to win 41-33. And yeah, the 49ers, they are really looking to get some players back. I think they either get Jimmy G or they get George Kittle back next week. I'm not sure, but I think there is a chance that they get one of those guys back. And if they get one of those guys back, they definitely boost up their chances of winning, one or two more games. I don't know, the 49ers, they're 5-9. The Cowboys, yeah, they won. And when you look at the stats, it looks like, the Washington football team is 6-8, and they are 5-9. So you're thinking, they're one game out, but Washington swept them. So really, Washington would have to lose out, and the Cowboys would have to win out. In my opinion, I think the Cowboys, it's kind of over for them, but we're seeing them kind of go on an uptick. We're seeing all four NFC East teams go on an uptick, especially the Cowboys' offense. Their defense didn't actually play too well. Obviously, they let that really injured 49ers team score 33 points. Of course, that was the Hail Mary at the end, but still. And yeah, the Cowboys do get a win, though, and they stay in the playoff race, at least in the NFC East. Next up, Lions-Titans. We had some scoregami in this one, 46-25, Titans win. The Titans' offense played really well in this one. Derrick Henry had one of his monster games. And yeah, Matthew Stafford actually didn't have too bad of a game. It was really the Lions' defense that really let him up. They did go off, they managed managed to score 25 points against that Titans defense that has been pretty good this whole season. And Matthew Stafford was a big part of that, but it was really this Lions defense and the Titans offense that kind of killed them. The Lions defense couldn't get anything going, couldn't stop the Titans in the slightest, and the Titans just would not be stopped. Next up, Texans had a rematch against the Colts, the second time they've played the past 3 weeks, and it was about the same result. 20-26 last time, 20-27 this time. Colts win, and the Colts defense played really, really well, did not allow the Texans to do anything. Deshaun Watson, though, did have a pretty good game, at least statistically. He is really the only part of this team that is working. He is the only factor of this team that is holding them up. Without him, if they had a bad quarterback, they would be vying for a top spot in the draft. They would be, down there with the Jaguars and the Jets. Deshaun Watson is, a lot of people don't understand this, he is carrying this team. If they had if they had someone like, I don't know, Teddy Bridgewater as quarterback, who, is not bad, but definitely is not his caliber, they would be much, much worse. He is basically the only part that is working on their offense. The Colts kind of shut down their run game, shut down everything, and yeah. Next up, Patriots Dolphins. It was a really close game, but the Dolphins did manage to get the win, 22-12. We saw a lot of field goals. Salvon Ahmed, the Dolphins running back, actually had probably the best game of his career. The Patriots defense, it had one of the worst games we've seen all season. The Patriots defense, really, this whole Patriots team, we've seen it kind of collapse. They're 6-8. Things are looking rough for the Patriots, and yeah, the Dolphins get a win here. Can't win the AFC East, but they're definitely still alive in this AFC playoff race. It's really getting it's really heating up. I know a lot of times in the early season I like to talk about how I was really excited for the playoff race, and now that it's here, it's like, ooh, I am really looking forward, and every week I am to seeing what's going to happen. In this next game, Bears-Vikings, it was probably the most important game playoff picture-wise in the whole NFC playoff race. These are two teams that I think they're like the only two teams left outside the playoff picture who are still vying for a spot right now. And it was by far the most important game wild card wise this whole week, probably for the rest of the season, and the Bears got the win 33-27. And what can I say? Both teams played really well offensively. The defenses weren't really a factor. Both of these defenses underperformed. The Bears are kind of flip-flopping. Their offense is starting to play really well under Trubisky, and their defense is starting to kind of slack off. And the Vikings, their defense has been terrible all season. This is not really a change. But the Bears managed to get the better of the Vikings by 6 points, and yeah, the Bears managed to stay alive. The Vikings are not. They're not eliminated yet, but they're 6-8, and they're going to have a miracle. I think they're going to have to win out. I think the Bears have to lose out, and I think the Cardinals have to lose out for them to jump into that 7th spot, and I just can't see that happening. But it is not impossible. But come on. Next up, Seahawks at Washington. It was actually really close. It was 20-15. A Seahawks win. Washington was very, very injured. I expected this one to be a blowout. Washington without its quarterback, running back, and two of its linebackers. I really expected the Seahawks to take advantage of that, and they did in the first half. It was 13. It was 20-3 at the end of the third quarter. But then Dwayne Haskins kicked it into overdrive. They went down the field, and this defense actually. Fourth quarter was by far the best quarter for Washington. They scored 3 points. It was 20-3 the first 3 quarters, and it was 12-0 in the fourth quarter. Washington, they actually played pretty well in the fourth quarter, but we cannot ignore how terrible they played both sides of the ball in the first 3 quarters. And I know you could say it's against the Seattle Seahawks and they were really injured, but still, they definitely, their defense really underperformed. You can say that their offense, it had everything to do with the fact that Alex Smith, he is injured, and Antonio Gibson is injured. Actually, I'm pretty sure Alex Smith could have played in this game. I'm not sure, but I think he could have played. But the thing is, it was in the same leg that got injured, and Ron Rivera, this is one of the things that I want to praise him for, is that he's really careful with Alex Smith. But yeah, Seahawks get a win here. And Washington still on top of the NFC East, and I mean, with the way the rest of the division is playing, I definitely think that they will probably end up in the playoffs, but who knows. I think they should be getting all those players back. And next up is the Jaguars against the Ravens. Ravens absolutely blowout win, 26 points above the Jaguars, 40-14. Jaguars definitely were vying for that first overall spot at this point. We're just seeing them tank. They did not score any points in the first half, and I have a feeling that was maybe on purpose because in the second half they made to score 14. So what I'm thinking is that maybe they were like, all right, this first half, the first half it was 26-0. Second half it was 14-14. So what I'm thinking is that maybe that first half was on purpose, and the second half they were kind of going out there and showing like, hey, we can keep pace with them. I mean, while the Ravens, they are turning it up at the right time. We're seeing them, they had a rough year, and then last week against the Browns was one of the best offensive games. This week, yeah, they could be tanking, but I'm just going to assume that they weren't. The Ravens had another really, really good game offensively and a pretty good game defensively, especially when they shut them out in that first half. So the Ravens go from, maybe they'll barely make the playoffs, maybe to all right now, they're not in the playoff picture yet, but if they do make it, they could go deep inside the playoffs. And I'm about 50%, just about 50-50 the Jags are tanking at this point. Speaking of teams that should be tanking at least, we have the Jets against the Rams. Come on. Both of these teams, the Jets somehow managed to beat the Rams 23-20 and bump up to a whopping 1-13. 23-20 game win for the Jets. The Rams, this was a game that they really needed to win. They are not in, they are not like, they needed to win. They are still in the playoff race. Now, they haven't clinched yet, so I guess technically this could still fall out. But still, for positioning and all that, the Rams really, really needed to win this game, and yet they fell. The Jets, they are no longer the worst team in the league. Congratulations, the Jaguars, with your horrendous loss. You are now the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Now, the Jets, obviously, with a Jaguars win next week or the week after that, could bump up, but still. It's looking like the Jets have kind of screwed themselves over here. I don't think Justin Fields is the answer. The Rams defense, it was terrible. Their offense wasn't actually horrible in my opinion. In my opinion, it kind of looks to me like the Jets really tried to tank. They let up 17 points in the second half, and they were kind of like just win, but they didn't. So for the Jets players and Jets fans, it is something, good. I guess you probably would rather go 1-15 and have the second overall pick than go 0-16 and have the first overall. But come on, man. At least wait until the Jags have won. Next up, Eagles against the Cardinals. The Cardinals, as we expected, get a nice win here. It was pretty close, 33-26. Both teams actually played really well. It was a very, very close game. I feel really bad for Eagles fans because Hurts is so obviously the answer. Jalen Hurts is playing really, really well, about as well as Eagles fans hoped that he could. And he's really the best part of this team. He is kind of showing that Carson Wentz was the problem. This team, a lot of people have been saying, oh, it's the coaching. No, it's not Carson Wentz's fault. But now that we're seeing another rookie quarterback go in there and play and take this team to win against the Saints and play really, really well against the Cardinals, we're seeing Carson Wentz was definitely the problem. And I've also heard that Carson Wentz wants to start or he wants out, and I'm like, come on, man. Nobody wants you. But Jalen Hurts is definitely the option. I feel really bad for them because they're 4-9-1, but if they probably started Hurts in week 1, they'd probably be number 1 in the NFC East. But anyways, Cardinals going to win, 8-6, stay in the NFC playoff picture. On to the next one, Chiefs against the Saints. This was actually a really good game, a 3-point win for the Chiefs, 32-29. It was a pretty good game by both teams. It was pretty evenly matched. Drew Brees, though, you can kind of tell that he is not back to full health. In my opinion, it kind of looked like, and even I think in post-game, someone asked him if he was, 100%, and he said, nah. So I definitely think that, I think the Saints could have won if Drew Brees was back to full health, but it's kind of worrying to see it play. I think he broke 11 ribs. If something happens to him, that'd be terrible. He is nearing his final years in the league, and it'd be really great, even as someone who supports the Panthers. They're not my number 1 team, but I live in North Carolina, so it's kind of, my obligation. It really would be sad to see him end his career with an injury after having, the amazing career that he's had. Anyways, they did still play really well. They kept on par with the Chiefs, but the Chiefs, as always, they always keep it close. Every single game is close. The past 3 games, they've only won by a total of 9 points. Total of 15 points. Next up, Browns against the Giants. The Giants, this was a game that they really, really, really needed to win. Washington lost obviously, against the Seahawks, so this was a perfect opportunity. In my opinion, I think if they had won this game, I think that's it. I think they would have, if they had gone out there and beaten the Browns, I think the NFC East was theirs. They lost, however, which means that it's basically now Washington's. It would take a long shot for any of the 3 other teams to make it in. Although the Giants, they do still have a chance. They do still have that tiebreaker. In my opinion, I think it goes, if I'm going to rank on who I think is going to win the NFC East, it goes Washington, Giants, Eagles, Cowboys. Because the Cowboys, they're 1 game off, but I think they have like a 1% chance of making it. Mayfield had a pretty good game. Earlier in the game, first drive, they get really good field position. I think they get the ball at their own 40, going up against the Browns. They go down the field. They get stopped. It's 4th down. They bring their punter out there as quarterback. I mean, I think they were trying to fake a field goal, but I mean, the NBC didn't even show them in field goal formation. I mean, it wasn't even that much of a fake. Their punter tried to pass a 15-yard touchdown pass to their center. I would be saying if they had made it. Because you're going up against a team like the Browns. And I know a lot of people have the mindset of you're going to want to score touchdowns when you're going up against really good teams. I have the mindset of when you have a chance to get some easy points and get on top early, I don't care about how many points, but just have Baker Mayfield play from behind, at least at the beginning, you take those points. Okay? And there was another time where they were in field goal range and they just did not take it. That would have made it from a 20-6 game to a 20-15 game, and I think towards the end of the game, instead of it being, the Browns, they punt, but it's a 14-point game, there's no chance. It could have been, the Browns punt. Now the Giants are driving down the field with a chance. Wait, no, it would have been 20-12, sorry. But still, they have a chance to tie up the game. But no, the fact that they didn't go for it, and they did not score any touchdowns this whole game, it was pathetic by the Giants. We are seeing them completely collapse. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. We here on Carsonian Beans, or I guess at this point, I am going to change the name because Carsonian Beans, I mean, come on, that's a terrible name. I have already created a logo. I have came up with a really good name, and I have checked, and there are no other channels on YouTube with this same name who are posting consistently. And also, I have not made a banner yet, so I'm going to do that probably tomorrow, make a banner, and I might actually make the announcement on Christmas. I might record it before and then release it on Christmas. I'm not going to make any videos on Christmas, but still. Anyways, you don't care. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. We post videos every single day, recaps. We post predictions, power rankings, all kinds of stuff happening every single day here on Carsonian Beans. So please subscribe, like the video, do all that stuff, and I will see you in the next one, or else.